Welcome to another episode of the Myrtle Beach Golf Report, powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach. As always, Kyle Oland, joined by my good friend, buddy, David Williams.
Hi, Kyle.
And this week we're joined by a new buddy, Drew Amato. Drew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to be here.
Yeah, in a little bit we'll kind of get into your story and all the crazy things that you've done in your life. Drew, I have a question for you.
Fire away.
Is it bright in here?
Well, here's the thing. I know what you're going to say, and they're actually prescription, and I didn't bring my regular glasses.
Fair enough. You know what? Jim Maio came into my office today. He saw me squinting at a computer, and he said, I think you need glasses. I was like, yeah, I'm zooming in on things more than I ever have.
Oh, my God. You are so old.
I'm getting
How old? No, yeah. Dude, you're only like 2 years older than me. Don't start that.
Things start breaking once you cross 30. You're not there yet.
22
Drew, you're past 30, right?
Anyway, so what are we diving into today?
Well, this is the golf report. This is what we do.
Golf report? As I'm over 30.
Yes, and we are powered by Play Golf Myrtle Beach.
I turned 30 in 22 days. That sucks.
Oh, really? As soon as in 32 days, something will break.
22.
22 days.
Yeah.
Something will break.
Suck.
You'll wake up that morning and something will be different. It happens. The clock turns. The calendar page goes.
That happens every day, though.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a guy who keeps himself in shape. Imagine how I feel. It's not good.
Anyway, today's episode.
Great to be back.
Today's episode is powered, as always, by Play Golf Myrtle Beach, your one-stop shop to get any information you could want on Myrtle Beach golf packages, things to do, places to stay. It is the place to go. So if you are thinking, and we've talked the last two episodes about the amazing fall golf here in the golf capital of the world, I would encourage you to go to playgolfmyrtlebeach.com, fill out one of our quote forms, and within minutes, you will have information at your disposal to help you plan your golf trip and make it easier than ever. That's playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. Just recently, we held the Play Golf Myrtle Beach World Amateur just last week. The 41st playing, David. How about that? 3,000 golfers in the golf capital of the world from 49 states, 17 countries, and only one rose to be the world champion. Shout out.
Oh, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Damn,
Come
I did
on.
not. Dude, I didn't know you were going to do this. This isn't fair.
He's from Charlotte, North Carolina, the new world champion. Shout out.
Dude, his name is not.
Shout out.
Give me a second.
Do.
Apindra Modak.
Shout out, Mr.
Modak.
Nice
guy. Very nice guy.
Yeah. How was he after winning and hoisting that trophy? Was he excited?
Yeah, he seemed, very, very happy. I didn't do the interview, Jim did, but he seemed like a happy character. If you just played 5 rounds of golf in 1 week and you're unhappy, that's your fault.
Yeah. If you played 5 rounds of golf and beat 3,000 other golfers, I'd be pretty stoked.
What scores do you need to beat 3,000 golfers?
I don't remember. I don't think the scoreboard's still up.
He shot an 81.
So it's all handicapped.
Yeah, it's handicapped.
But I think he shot 81. I think he was like this is bad.
Sorry, I should have let you know we were going to do this.
He shot 81, net 68. We might want to move on.
Okay, fair enough.
Not bad. I mean, that's too bad. So, yeah, he actually was mad earlier in the week because he said he was in the wrong flight. So that's really funny that he was complaining to Ryan about being in the wrong flight and ends up winning.
So, Drew, what makes it extraordinary for this gentleman from Charlotte is that he had to come out of his pool of players 4 days, everybody within the same handicap of him. He bests all those guys. How many guys are in your flight? 60-something?
I think it just depends on age and handicap.
Give or take.
Probably 60 to 80.
So
I think
he beat 70 guys, and then he goes out to the championship round at Grand Dunes. And how many guys gals does he face there?
I think he played against 60. Now, the gross winners can't win the
jeez.
overall thing.
So then he goes out and beats another 60 guys. That guy was riding high Friday afternoon. There's no doubt about it. If you leave Myrtle Beach the world champion, I'd be riding high. Where would you put the trophy if you won? What would you do with it?
It'd probably go in like an office of some sorts, I'd say.
Do you carry it around like?
No.
We should get a
claret
belt.
jug,
And
That'd be sick.
drink out of the World Am trophy.
Dude, that's actually a really good idea. It's a very drinkable trophy too. What are the most drinkable trophies in the
It should be. It's Myrtle Beach World Am.
Yeah, it's a very drinkable trophy. Like you can drink out of it.
Do you think anyone's ever drank out of it?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you got to think, right? It's been around for 41 years.
I was going to say, is it a new trophy or do you bring it back every year?
So they have essentially like it's for lack of a better term, it's a placeholder.
Yeah.
And it's actually in this office. I'll show you after this interview, but it's got like a plate on it, and then it's got all the names of everybody who's ever won on it, and then each person gets their own
their own version of it.
Yeah, well, not that. It's actually a separate one. It's like it's like crystal, essentially, like what they get for making eagles at Augusta, essentially. So
I'd carry it with me everywhere. Publix.
it's pretty big, dude.
Gas station.
It's pretty big.
The world should know that
Hey.
I'm the World Am.
That'd be sick. Maybe you should play next year.
Yeah, and you could win. You could carry it everywhere.
Here's the issue. I tried to get a tee time during this alleged World Am.
Yeah, good luck.
Not easy.
No.
Not easy to do around here.
Nope.
No, did you get to play it all last week?
Last week.
That would have been World Am Week.
Yeah, I played
Where'd you get a tea time at?
a members club at Grand Dunes.
No. Nice.
Well, they don't host.
And then I played Prestwick, but that might have been after the World Am.
Okay, nice. Yeah, well, Presswick, they might have only hosted. I know they hosted Monday. I don't know about the rest of the week. And that is the World Am. And Drew, we would love to see you at the World Am next year for the 42nd annual Myrtle Beach World Am. And guys, if you are listening, every year the World Am will open registration in early winter, so keep an eye out. We've got a lot of exciting updates coming to the World Am next year, so we hope to see you in Myrtle Beach for that. The other thing we want to talk about is another event that
Speaking of events,
we just announced it today. Our brand new event in partnership with our good friends Wesley and George Bryan, the Bryan Brothers Shootout, hosted by Play Golf Myrtle Beach, which is at a course that Drew knows very well, Tidewater. Beautiful golf course there. November 1st through the 2nd. David, tell the people what they can expect about this event. It's unique, and it will sell out. It's already 25% of the way sold out, having just announced 2 hours ago. So by the time this comes out, it might be sold out. So if you're thinking about it, go check it out, David. But what can people expect?
so if you played in the Bryan Brothers Shootout, their first one that they did, this is the next iteration of it, right? It is presented by Play Golf Myrtle Beach. It is at Tidewater. And while it is one day, we do have a opening kind of party for everybody at Top Golf the night before. And then Saturday,
Which will be paid for and included. You'll get food
that is included with your
and
tournament entry.
play. You'll have to pay for your own beverages, but food and play is included.
But you get breakfast and lunch at the event. It's 2-person captain choice, right? Yeah, captain's choice. And then top 5 teams will go into a shootout. And then winner of the shootout will go up against George and Wesley for their chance to beat the Bryan Brothers. Good luck.
Hey, is your buddy who you said if he enters this
No,
winning
it's club championship week down there.
Because I would have loved to see him win, like you said, and see if he could have beaten Wesley and George.
He would have won.
Tidewater's tough. That's a tough course.
Beautiful
Especially
golf
if people
course,
have not
though.
played it before.
Beautiful.
Scramble, though. So,
It's still they get those greens going. It's tough. I'll be curious. That'll be a good event.
Yeah, it'll be a ton of fun and great gift bag. We're working with our friends from Imperial Rowback to get some custom items for you in your gift bag. Yeah, I have calls with them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're on the calendar.
Hey, breaking news.
They are on the calendar next week.
Got it. Cool.
Kyle Imperial, Kyle Rowback, lock it in. Will, if you're listening from Rowback, let's get a deal done.
Oh, God. We're probably going to have to cut this.
Anyway, that is a super exciting event. We are really stoked for it. Our team, our amazing events team that puts on the World Am and like 12 other events, they're going to be running that event. It's going to be a great time. We hope to see you there. We'll probably do a podcast from there. Who knows? But November 1st through the 2nd, go to www.brianbrosshootout.com. It will sell out. It's already 25% of the way full. We just announced. So if you're thinking about it, do it. We'll see you then. David, what else do we got?
You're out of the country then, right?
Yeah, because I wanted him to come and hang out with us.
I will not be here. Yeah.
He said he's too busy doing his other job, which we'll get into in a minute.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't touch on Scotty winning $62 million on the golf course this year. Now, that includes FedEx Cup and Comcast Business Top 10, but that's like insane. And he won a gold medal.
Yeah,
and he got a
gold medal in there.
And he got arrested, too.
Yeah.
And he had a new child.
And he won that case, too.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost yet this year.
Dude, he has not
incredible.
lost.
He's a certified winner.
Actually, the only two people that have beaten Scotty on the golf course this year, I saw this the other day, are Steven Yeager and Davis Riley. So that's really funny. Shout out Davis Riley, Myrtle Beach Classic participant. So
yeah, that's
$62 million. Good for him.
How about the come up for Ted Scott, his caddy?
made $6.5 million. I think I saw too that he would be like top 25 on the money rankings this year. So
you deserve it if you put up with Bubba Watson for 10 years screaming at you for everything.
yeah, 100%.
But my God, what a turnaround. What a resurgence.
Good for him. That's like, and he keeps every flag from every tournament he wins too. So that's pretty cool. He won
I think
8.
they had a side bet for like every time Scotty chipped in too.
Really?
That Ted owed him money or something absurd.
Well, I hope Scotty didn't like actually claim that. He's got enough
Yeah.
cash going around. Like, because I mean, yeah, he's chipped in a handful of times.
Yeah, this is one of the most remarkable years since Tiger's been competitive.
And he won on Sunday with a shank too. That was
Relatable. He did that for us.
yeah. He knew like TV viewers were, like tuning out.
Yeah.
And he was
You
like,
got to keep the scent off.
he's like, let me just shank this, and then I'm gonna hit a 4-iron from 240 to like 8 feet. Like, it's over. Yeah, good for Scotty. I think the bigger news involving Scotty is the match between it's what everybody has been asking for since the Live PGA Tour split. Scotty and Rory versus Rahm and Brooks. Kind of weird. This came out of nowhere, right? There was no like hint of this before it came out today. I hadn't heard a dang thing. What are your guys' initial thoughts on that?
So when you sent the show notes and I saw it in there, I Googled it because I was like, I haven't even heard of this yet. Did it just come out today?
It came out like 3 hours ago as of this recording.
And I did a quick read on it. One, it's fascinating, right? You got the Tour versus Live. Love that. Is it in December? I think I saw.
Is it? I didn't even look at the date.
Yeah. I want to know.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
I think it's in December. They said it's going to be made for television. They didn't say where it's going to be, where you can watch it.
It'll be on TNT. I did see that part.
Do you know where they're playing it?
No.
It's in Vegas, so it's either
Is it
going
in
to be at
Vegas?
the Wynn or Shadow Creek, I'd guess. Probably the Wynn. I have a very hot take on this.
Do it.
Give it. Because I don't have
The
one.
match format is dead. Get rid of it. Just no more matches. It should have ended after Tiger versus Phil. Live versus PGA Tour should be a Ryder Cup style event. It shouldn't be 2 versus 2.
What would you do to fix it outside of the Ryder Cup style? Or is that your fix?
My fix is get rid of the match.
I like it.
Do you think it's going to be a hit and giggle, or they actually will care? Because I want them to care.
Well, I feel like that's realistically like they had to involve Rory because he's been the big.
Yeah, I want there to be
Controversial
bad
figure.
blood. I want there to be trash talking, and not just like I want there to be real trash talking.
Brooks will definitely talk trash. Scotty, maybe you get a fist pump.
Maybe.
Rory probably will be fine unless he has a wedge in his hand.
Yeah, and then it'll be 25 over the green.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the match format has been so played out at this point. The original one, 9 million, whatever it was, Tiger versus Phil, incredible. So well done.
That was the one that was at night as well, right? They had lights up for it.
No, that was in the day. The one at night was the Rory, the one this year with Lexi and somebody.
Then they did the F1 or the F1 one.
The quarterbacks, just pure quarterbacks one.
Bryson versus Brooks. They've done Yeah, the quarterbacks 3 or 4 times.
Like the one, I think like after the Tiger and like, who was it? Was it Tiger and Peyton versus Phil and Brady or whatever? That one, like that one was good. And I don't know if it was good or if it was just the fact that it happened in the middle of COVID and we didn't have anything going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't disagree. Like to answer your question, I think it's going to be a lot of a hit and giggle. Like I don't think you're going to get a lot of like, I mean, dude, we saw it with the Q, right? Like when there's stakes on the line, like you're not going to talk. Like there's not really anything on the line here, just bragging rights, I think. So like,
you know what would be great is if they created some stake that like the losing team, there's some penalty for either the tour or live. Like maybe like Augusta National comes in and says, whichever one of you guys is lose, your players will not be allowed in the Masters this year.
loser has to take Kevin Na back on their tour.
Okay.
That's tough.
I might have to cut that too. There might be a lot of cutting from this episode. It's not something we do here at the Myrtle Beach Golf Report.
Anyway, exciting. Another interesting thing happening in the game of golf. It seems like golf entertainment is just an ever-evolving door now. Just last week we had the Creator Classic. We've got other things on the horizon.
You were at the Creator Classic.
Yeah, what'd you think about it?
You know what? It was cool. It was cool.
It seemed like it was pretty well executed.
Yeah, they had the infrastructure there from at East Lake, obviously from the Tour Championship being there. The amount of staff, it was just everybody that was working there that day just was there for this thing. So, like, you had everything there. There's probably 3,000 people there, I'd have to say. Crowds were great.
It's been a hot topic on the streets of the internet.
Yeah.
Having former pros and people who play Corn Ferry out there. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. The scores I did think were a little surprising. They built it up like the renovation at East Lake was going to be this big monster, and all of a sudden, like, not so much of a monster.
In fairness, the pins were in the center of every green for what that matters, but there were no tricky pins out there, and I was able to talk to some of the folks from the tour, and that was pretty. They did that purposefully.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good little.
The broadcast was slick. I thought the broadcast
looked good.
I think they owe you guys a thank you because I think this stems off of the Myrtle Beach Q.
Could be debatable.
I'll let Kyle handle that conversation.
Who knows? Could be.
Should we get into the bulk of this?
Let's get into the bulk of it because we've now been going for 15 minutes.
17:48.
And we haven't really introduced the man to our left, your right, Drew Amato. We met Drew. David met Drew before me.
Actually, that's not even true.
He heard of him. He had heard.
Drew and I just followed each other on Instagram.
He had heard rumors of a man named Drew. And
Rumblings.
we're getting ready to put together a team for the Myrtle Beach Classic to create some awesome content. And we were like, man, we need a good photographer. And David goes, I thought they were friends, but apparently not. They just knew each other on Instagram. They followed each other. He says, man, you need to check out this Drew Amato guy and shoot him a DM or somehow got in contact. Then we bring him on the team, and this dude works as hard as we do. And I was like, man, this guy's amazing. And then come to find out, he got his start on the gambling tables in Las Vegas. He spent his COVID years gambling against PGA Tour players, taking their money. And the legend of Drew just got crazier and crazier.
Spread rumors here.
I'm building hype, man.
I like it. But we're
building
getting a little
hype.
out of hand here.
Anyway, Drew Amato, photographer, friend of the program, friend of the Play Golf Myrtle Beach team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We can nick some of those rumors here in this episode. But anyway, interesting man. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here. Did not gamble against PGA Tour players. I just want to nix that one.
I think Kyle just made that up. It's like
I did.
I was just creating stories.
I was getting ready to run through a wall, to be quite honest with you.
I was hyping you up.
No,
First time on the show.
Yeah, no. Happy to be here. Yeah.
So I want to get into like your whole how did you get in? Because I don't even know this full story yet. How did you get into the photography world?
You want the abbreviated version or the long version? How much time do we have?
As much time as you want.
I started in middle school, shooting. My friends and I we We'd skate, snowboard, just do dumb things. I'd steal my mom's old Canon Rebel film camera with whatever roll of film she had, and we'd go out and I'd take photos of stuff, not really think anything of it. And then, yeah, I don't know. Photography's always kind of been a constant in my life. And I went to school for it for a brief stint. I think I went to 3 classes total before I dropped out. And, yeah, the first job was with a skate magazine. And from there, did some music, did snowboarding, went back home, tried to take an office job.
How'd that go?
Not for me.
Yep.
And that's when the world of poker and photography kind of merged for me. And that was probably 15 years ago. And somehow we're here today.
How did you get, so what was it like, playing poker versus like actually working as a photographer for poker, two not completely different things? What was that like your first time actually?
It's like one of those
shooting
memes, right? Where people are like, oh, this is what everyone thinks I do for work, but this is what I actually do.
It's like what people think we do.
Yeah, the life of a poker player is miserable.
Hold on, can we pause for a minute?
Yes.
I think let's back up a minute. So, were you a poker player?
Yes.
All right. So let's go into that first. Like, so you're a poker. You
Yeah,
were a poker player?
I played poker. I guess you could say, I don't know if I'd say professionally. I had a job, but I was still playing probably close to 30, 40 hours a week. I lived in Connecticut. I drive to Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. I'd play some of the smaller stakes cash games. It's what I did every weekend, all weekend. I'd play some tournaments. I was making money, maybe not as much as I wanted to be making, but I was a winning player. And the facade is that, like, you play poker and you're just going to make all this money and you're going to live this luxurious life. But the reality is you're spending 40 to 60 hours a week in the casino with the most miserable people you can ever imagine. And it's not a fun place to be, I can tell you that. So, yeah, I was playing tournaments at the time, and this poker tour came to our local casino, and I did well in one of the smaller tournaments and started just talking to the owner. And the next year they came back. They ended up, reaching out, and I said, yeah, I'll come in. I'll shoot some photos for you guys for this main event that you're running. And a year later, I was on the road with them almost full time.
What were you doing at that time for work aside from playing poker before they asked you to shoot photos?
So I was working in Vermont I worked at Sugarbush Resort. I was on the park crew. So we would build like terrain parks, and then I was doing some photography work on the side. While I was up there, I was doing all the photos for the mountain. I'd done some stuff for Burton. We did a few pieces in like Transworld snowboarding at the time. I came home, tried taking a job in a family business, which was manufacturing. And yeah, I'm not meant to be behind a desk. So that just didn't work. Wasn't for me. And that's when the poker gig kind of took off.
God, where do we go from here? I don't even I'm like, holy hell.
Yeah, I got so many questions, man. I think
Fire away.
I think you're the most
here.
interesting man alive. So you're playing poker. You're a halfway decent player, yet you're still working in Vermont.
At this point, I was working in Connecticut.
Oh, you're working in Connecticut, right? Family business. And then they say, hey, Drew, can you take some photos for us? You take some photos. Oh, these are pretty good photos. You want to come travel with us? Is it a tour?
It's a tour at this point. My good friend, and he was like a mentor to me, Chris Turina, started this poker tour. It was real small. I shot an event for him at Mohegan Sun. It went really well. The thing is, like before, and this isn't shade at anyone in poker industry, even though they're never listening to this, before I got into poker, poker photography is very vanilla. It's a guy sitting at a table with a mountain of chips. It's a guy holding a trophy. And I think I kind of brought a new aesthetic to the game that people hadn't really seen before. And this company happened to be looking for someone, and it was a good fit. And I did 1 or 2 stops with them. And at the time, there was this magazine called Bluff Magazine, which was like the big poker publication. They hired me to go out to Vegas for that summer and shoot the World Series of Poker. So at this point, I was 22 maybe, and went out, spent the entire summer in Vegas shooting for them. Shot my first World Series of Poker main event, did the final table in November, that was on ESPN and everything. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into more and more jobs.
Shooting photos for poker, traveling the world as a 22-year-old living in Vegas. Goodness gracious, that's got to be every 22-year-old's dream to be in Vegas.
Think, but like, I mean, everyone says it. They're like, oh, you get to see all these areas of the world. That must be incredible. My first 2 years on the road, you'd fly in on a Wednesday. Thursday, you'd start work at noon. You'd work till 2 in the morning. You'd go to bed, rinse and repeat, and as soon as it ended, you flew out the next day. I never saw outside.
I was going to say, like, how long does a poker event go for?
So it depends. A lot of the bigger events now run over the course of 7 to 8 days, usually about 12 hours a day. Like the World Series of Poker is actually consisted of over 70 events, and that runs for 2.5 months in Las Vegas, with the main one being the one that's on ESPN, and that runs over the course of, I think it's like 11 days now.
All right. Well, that's a clean cut.
Yeah. So as you're doing this, you're shooting all these photos. How long did you live in Vegas for during this time?
I was in LA first. So I was in LA for 2.5 years, I want to say. And then I was in Vegas for about 5.5.
So during this time out there, and you're spending all this time shooting poker in the casino, fast forward today, and now you're doing some golf work. You're into golf. You're still shooting poker. But how did your introduction to the game of golf begin? And not necessarily from a photo standpoint, but just from a playing standpoint. Is it something you've done your whole life? Or
yeah, I played as a kid a lot. I played up until I was about 12 years old, and then I played probably from like 8 years old to 12 years old. I broke my collarbone skating when I was 12 and didn't pick up a golf club again until about probably 6 months before COVID. And then I picked it back up during COVID, and obviously live events for me is how I make a living, shut down, everything shut down in Vegas. And everyone kind of just took to the golf courses because it was what there was to do. So I just kind of fell back into it at the right place, right time, and you know that passion was reignited, and I went from not playing a lot of golf to playing almost every day.
Now, how did you get into the photography side of golf? What kind of sparked that?
So shout out to my wife. She works for a sports marketing agency and does a lot of work closely with the PGA Tour. She put on the original match with Tiger and Phil. She works at Tour Championship every year with one of the proud partners, the Open. She's the one that actually got me back into golf. I played around with her and her dad, and then shipped my clubs. We were back home visiting our families, brought our clubs back with us to Vegas, and I got back into it. Her company had hired me for the original golf and gaming event, which took place at Shadow Creek, and that was probably the first golf event I ever shot. And then I'd occasionally bring the camera out with me on course, nothing crazy. And believe it or not, the Myrtle Beach Classic was my first PGA Tour actual event I've ever shot.
Dang right it was.
Yeah.
Dang
Shout
right.
out the Classic.
So at the time, you're in Vegas, right?
Yes.
That's where we are. I want to ask you about somebody that we met at the Myrtle Beach Classic.
Yes.
But somebody that you are very close with, and that is Harry Hall. How did that
H-Man.
How'd that friendship come about?
So during this COVID span, there wasn't much to do. Like I said, a lot of poker players took to the golf course, and when they're not gambling in the casino, those tendencies don't go away. So a lot of the gambling carried over to the golf course. So I was fortunate to see a lot of golf courses and play with a lot of people during that span. And Harry went to UNLV, graduated, and he was a member at one of my friend's country clubs. So we had played a few rounds of golf together, started hanging out more and more. And I just kind of met him organically through the Vegas Golf Network. And we always hit it off, and, been fortunate. He's had a really good year and staying in close touch with him.
Yeah, because you guys hung out before the Myrtle Beach Classic. Weren't you guys eating some chicken wings or something before the first round, or you guys were doing something?
I don't.
Kyle's just making stuff up.
Yeah, I know, but I like it. Yeah,
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. No, Harry's a good friend of mine, and like me, Harry's he's a sicko. He's a golf addict. He loves golf, loves tinkering, loves all the equipment. He was here. We got dinner before the Classic started, and we actually went into PGA Superstore because he wanted to look at a few pairs of shoes. And I think me and him literally spent 2 hours on the putting green trying every putter in PGA Tour Superstore.
Did you have to talk him out of buying one?
No, I didn't have to talk him out of buying one. I think they have access to those, but it's hilarious because people have no idea. You know, he's a rookie on tour. They don't know who he is. And this guy's just in PGA Tour Superstore for 2 hours, just knocking putts around 2 days before he's playing in the Classic.
That was like when Goddard up in his post-round press conference in the media center said that like he went for a walk on the beach the night before, and I wondered like the same kind of thing. Like, did anybody like have any idea? Because he's a rookie,
no idea.
and like not a single
And
person.
you know, Harry's a 6'4" English man. He's a big boy.
Yes.
You'd never know.
No.
He's a golfer, but it's some people are just born with the ability to golf.
So how'd you end up here in Myrtle Beach?
My wife's family retired here.
Okay.
We were in Vegas, and we wanted to start a family of our own. And ironically, I knew I could still travel for work pretty much anywhere. She works remote now, so she could work anywhere. And we just didn't want to start a family without support. We both did the West Coast thing for a while. Both of our families are back home on the East Coast, so we said, let's move somewhere where we have family, the weather's reasonable. And I had spent a total of 8 days here, and somehow I bought a plot of land.
Nice.
Love it, like so many other folks. And Drew, since you've been here, and how long has it been now?
2 years.
2 years. Have you been able to play much golf? And if so, tell me a little bit about the golf courses, having never been here before, and then having played quite a bit out in Las Vegas. Like, how was the golf scene here? What, did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, so I actually, funny enough, the only time I'd been in Myrtle Beach, I was here for a golf tournament. My friend puts one on every year with like 40 guys, all different locations every year, and the 1 year, ironically, was in Myrtle Beach. So we came down here and we played Grand Dunes Resort, we played Caledonia, True Blue, Kings North, and I believe we played the Love Course here at Barefoot. And that was my first introduction to Myrtle Beach. And if you go anywhere and just golf for 6 days straight, you're going to love it. So I was like, yeah, place doesn't seem so bad. Why not? You know what I mean? But, no, it's great. I had a lot of close friends in Vegas. I do miss Vegas a lot, but I like Myrtle a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it has this charm to it where, one, everybody's really super friendly here. If you are a golf sicko, like you said, the abundance of golf here, aside from last week when it was hard to get a tee time. Well, if you're a local, it can be hard, especially during the peak seasons, but there's no shortage of options here.
Yeah, no, everywhere. And I had lived here for probably 4 months before I realized Prestwick was there, and I live literally...
That is so funny.
If I could drive through the woods, I'm probably less than a par 5 length away from Prestwick.
That is so funny.
And now it's like one of my favorite courses in Myrtle.
I remember throwing up some photos on my photography account because I was out there one morning. I threw the drone up and I put them out, and you were like, I literally just found out about this place. And I was like, dude, you live like down the street from me. Like, what? How? It's like 10 minutes at the most.
And I had never been up north, like Tidewater I'd never been to. And then I played it once, and I was like, oh, my God. And then turns out it's a place now I spend a lot of time at.
Yeah, there's no shortage of amazing golf courses here. David, have you been to every – I know you haven't played them all, but have you been to every golf course here?
I think so.
That's insane.
I literally think so. I'm trying to think if there's any – like, I mean, I've been to I've been to Lockwood Folly. Like, I've been to Wedgefield multiple times. I've played Wedgefield. Yeah, I think I have.
The only course I don't think I've been to is Crow Creek. I've driven by it plenty of times.
Seriously?
I've never been there. In all my years working in the golf industry, I've never set foot on that.
I love Crow Creek.
I've driven by it.
Bent grass, baby.
I believe that is the only golf course.
That's wild.
Crow Creek.
That is. That's crazy. I feel like I've been to less than half.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you've only been here 2 years. I've been here a while. So
that's true.
Yeah, what we do for a living, kind of.
Yeah. And, I think I went to I think in the past week I've been to 6 different golf courses. So like, and I haven't hit one golf shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't survive.
No,
you hit some golf shots there at Caledonia yesterday.
I was hitting chip shots with Joe.
You were hitting a golf ball.
That doesn't count. That whatever. All right, never mind. Back to the show. So obviously, like you met us through the Classic, right? Yeah. What was your experience like? Because I think all 3 of us probably had a completely different experience. What was your experience like shooting that? Because that was your first. You said that was your first ever golf event. That was my first
tour event. Yeah, I only just got into, like I said, outside of a couple like one-off events, I've only shot golf a handful of times, and I only just got into drone stuff and golf really in the last year.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other story we'll get into. But I love the Classic. I mean, I love golf. I love what I do for work. So for me, it's like, you know, it's interesting because when you're in the thick of it, you don't realize like how much you're working, and then you get home at the end of the day and you're like, why does nothing in my body work right now?
Why can't I get out of bed?
Yeah, like why did I just spend 12 hours at a practice round? But I loved it. I love the game. I love watching people play golf, and I love, especially when you get people that are on that level. They're like the creative aspect of it and what they choose shot selection wise. And you know, Dunes Club isn't the easiest course, especially when they get those greens going. And yeah, it was a busy week. I feel like it flew by, but I had an absolute blast.
Follow-up question to that. I've actually posted something about this similarly, but there will be a follow-up to this one as well. Who took more photos of trees throughout the week? Was it you or myself?
It's me.
It's you?
It's always me.
How many trees?
Hundreds? How many around the course?
A lot.
Yeah, all of them.
What's your favorite tree?
That's tough. There was one tree over, I probably shot it a handful of times. Is that maybe the 5th hole? That's all the way in the back corner that comes back, par 4?
6, yeah. 4 is the par 5, 5 is par 3, 6
there's
is the par 4.
There's a tree, yeah,
yep.
That's one fairway over, but it overlooks the green on that side. I'm a big fan of that tree.
That's a good tree.
Yeah, I took a lot of photos of that tree, and then there's one on 11. It's tucked in a bunch of trees, but I took a photo of Marty Doe walking, and it like splits the image perfectly.
The Doughboy.
That's a good tree.
Kyle is currently looking at me. I haven't made eye contact with him in the past minute because he's trying to think of like some smart ass comment to make and make fun of me. But explain like why golf course trees are so cool to Kyle, because he just doesn't seem to get it.
Yesterday we're driving, 2 days ago we were together for a while. The last 2 days, he goes, "That's a cool tree." I said,
"We're at Dunes Club," so
I don't remember what I said, cool but trees. I was like, "Cool."
Yeah, Kyle just like.
So I'm sitting here going, "Why are these trees so fascinating?"
There's like 4 or 5 trees in Myrtle Beach that are just undefeated.
Kyle hates trees.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, everyone on golf courses hates trees because in the last decade they've wiped them out of every course.
Yeah.
Well, is that one tree what's the Paulie's Plantation hole that had a tree like right in the middle of the fairway? Is that still
9?
there?
Yeah, it's still there.
That's the only tree that I vividly can think about in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah. No, there's the 5th hole at Tidewater has an unbelievable tree on the right side of the fairway. Caledonia on, is that on the back? 11? The big oak tree behind the green? No, 10, 11's the par 3, 12.
12, yes, that's
12.
a good one. It
There's
splits 12 and 2.
Oak tree, yeah, between that green. That's really, really cool.
Caledonia's got like 13 of them, though.
Yeah, Caledonia's got some good trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of good trees
Big
there.
tree guy. There's one little dead tree that anyone that's ever flown a drone there, it's out in the marsh on 18. Literally, if you watch anyone take a video on the 18th hole at Caledonia with a drone, they film something with that tree. It's like a rite of passage.
It's true. It's true. I had the drone with me yesterday. We were there yesterday, and I had the drone with me, but it was too windy because I was literally going to go right at that tree.
Drones are wild. Talk about a wild technology that's been introduced to golf.
That's probably about to get banned by the United States government. But
no,
I know.
It's not.
We're
going to ban DJI, and then it's going to be some American consumer one for 4 times the price. That sucks.
It's the TikTok thing.
You guys want to start a drone company?
No.
Okay.
Drone. This is a funny story, actually, and I hope I have a good relationship with them, so I hope they don't get upset with me.
We can
Brett
cut it.
and Shannon at Tidewater, I love you guys. But my first time out at Tidewater, I was playing golf. I just took a photo on my cell phone, put it on my Instagram story, like, you know, being basic, whatever. And I get a DM, and it's like, hey, do you mind if we run this photo for a magazine ad? And in my head, I'm like, oh, here's an opportunity for some work. So I reach back out, and I'm like, hey, guys, I'd love to help you out. You know, it's a cell phone photo. Quality's not great. Why don't we work something out, and I'll come out with my camera. I'm a photographer, and I'll take some stuff, take some photos of the course for you, and you can use one of them for a magazine ad. They're like, oh, my God, great. Yeah, let's do it. So we hop on a call. I get out there. I'm lugging a ladder around, shooting photos. I get some stuff, and they like the photos a lot, and they say, hey, do you do any drone work? And I say, yeah, of course I do, but unfortunately, you know, I'm an idiot. I crashed my drone 2 weeks ago, and it's at DJI right now. And I'll have it back in a few weeks, and I can help you with whatever you need. And they're like, all right, perfect. I had never flown a drone in my life.
That your giveaway was when you were carrying a ladder around the golf course to hit aerial shots.
Never flown a drone in my life outside of like a video game. So
Hey,
I
you
go
might
home-
love it.
You might be laughing. I have seen that. Evan Schiller, is that however you
Yeah.
pronounce the last name?
It's actually a really good way to do it.
He's famous for doing that.
Yeah, because the cameras on drones aren't the best, but for photography. So I go home that night and I order a drone. Had never flown one. The next 2.5 weeks, I might have slept 4 hours. I was on every YouTube video, every Reddit page. I was driving all over Myrtle Beach flying this thing. So excited. And then finally, I'm like, reach back out, and I'm like, hey, guys, I got my drone back from DJI.
I love this story.
And they're like, all right, great. And I'm just doing like photo stuff with them at this point. They're like, all right, great. We need you to help us with a few filler shots for a commercial we're filming that's going to air before all the majors this year.
Oh, shoot.
And now so now I have to go into a deep video hole. And it's fine. You know, flying a drone isn't the hardest thing in the world. And I know I have like the creative eye. And if you've been to Tidewater, in between each hole, they have these very long tunnels. Very long, that go like down under the ground. And I get there, and the first shot on the list they need is me to rip a drone down through the tunnel.
Oh, my God.
And I don't have like an FPV drone. I have a very conventional one that I fly with all the safety settings on. So now I'm sitting there having a panic attack because I have to fly this drone through a goddamn tunnel. And I turn all the sensors off, and I'm just close my eyes. I black out. I do it a few times. It works out fine. Get what we need for the shots. And then ironically enough, I'm filming a time lapse at the end of the day on 14, the par 5 along the marsh. And I set the route for the time lapse that I want for sunset, and I hit return to home. And this drone that I have decides to fly back and fly directly into a tree and drops 80 feet to the ground, and the arm snaps in half.
Oh.
And I actually end up breaking a drone for the first time.
Did you have the insurance?
No.
Oh,
So I
no.
send it to DJI, they fix it, I get it back, and my first day back with it, I fly it into a pine tree at Prestwick along the, behind the 12th hole and like the 11th green.
Yep.
It's about 100 feet tall. It hits every branch on the way down and doesn't break.
Sick.
And that was my introduction to drones.
Don't worry. Nobody will have a drone crash like Jim Maggio. So Jim Maggio is a
Oh
great
my
drone
God,
pilot
Lord.
here in our office. I'm going to come back to your story because there's something else I want to talk about. This is too funny not to share, and Jim wouldn't mind sharing it.
I will never I will never forget this.
Jim is
ever.
Jim is a great drone pilot. So we're at Caledonia and talking about trees, right? They have those trees that are with the Spanish moss, right? We're there for an event. It's a large event. What was it, David?
I don't remember.
It was a charity event getting ready to go out for a tournament, and you had all these people out in front of Caledonia. They're doing their announcements. Bart Romano's going yada, 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 yada. He's the head pro over there. And then you hear Jim Maggio, you hear a buzzing sound. His drone's flying. He's getting some footage of what's going on.
It's
There's
right there.
about-
It's right there at backdrop, right? So you know where.
Okay.
Yeah. So
There's
that's
about-
where he's
There's
at.
about 120 people standing out there listening to this guy on a megaphone, and you hear the drone going zzz, and then all of a sudden you hear boom, and everybody turns and looks and sees this drone crash down to the ground. It had gotten caught in the Spanish moss, and then you see Jim Maggio casually just walk by, pick it up, and just walk away into the distance.
I mean, dude, it smashed into 100 pieces on blacktop. Like, I mean, just exploded. And I was like, I didn't know what. Like, credit the gym for keeping us cool, because I probably would have just lost my shit in that like moment. Like,
drones are crazy. But did you ever tell Brett and Shannon that you had actually never known how to fly a drone?
I think I've confessed to Brett since, because I've done a ton of work for them, and like they're happy with my work. So I think I have a very good relationship with them. It got to a point where I was like, "Hey, funny story, yeah." Like I believe in myself, but I also like blatantly lied to you guys. But I love you, so please don't hate me.
well, I'm sure they're gonna hire you more, so I don't think they really hate you.
Yeah, well, they might hate me after this story.
No, they won't.
I love that. I love people that make their own way in life and just figure it out as it goes. I was literally just talking to somebody who had a similar story to that. I love it.
Joe.
Was it Joe who?
It had to have been.
It was Joe. He was.
Shout out Cowboy.
Yeah, it was Joe. He faked his way until he made it.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, it's a real thing. If you believe in your ability to like do things, why not trust in the fact that you'll figure it out?
I want to talk about something here, moving on from crashing drones and stuff like that. You helped us with the Bros versus Pros.
Sure did.
And you Stuart Clark was in the second episode that day. You are now working with Stuart Clark. What is Stuart? What makes Stuart so like
the Southern Fleetwood?
What drew him to, or what? You know what I'm saying. Why did you decide to start
flowing locks and that Southern accent?
He's the best, isn't he?
No, he's just the thing about Stuart. And I've worked with a lot of people. Not a lot of people. I've worked with like 4 people in Myrtle Beach on my golf swing. I was very impressed with watching Stuart hit the ball and how he navigated around Prestwick. And my biggest leak in my golf game tends to be kind of getting erratic with my driver and my irons, and he all day just striped the ball. And then he was like, we talked a little bit there, and he was saying how primarily he's a teacher. So I was like, all right, I'll go down and check it out. I'm a very visual person. I need to like see things. And I got one lesson from him, and I really liked his teaching style. And then I got home and I received like a 20-minute video of everything he filmed, analyzing everything, what drills to work on at home. And I was like, damn, this is legit. And me and Stuart just hit it off. He's a great guy. We like to bullshit with each other back and forth and just kind of chop it up. And
I love Stuart.
Yeah,
Kyle and I have worked with Stuart a ton, so he's the man.
He is a good dude.
You mentioned that your weakness is, or you tend to get erratic with the driver. What's the best part of your golf game?
It used to be the driver.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. I focus so hard. I used to be able to like just hit a little choppy cut, and just like I'd never miss a fairway. Every iron I'd hit a little slap cut, and like I could work my way around the golf course. And then I got really focused on trying to shallow out my golf swing, and that was really bad. Really, really bad. Right now, I'd say my favorite club is like I got one of those the new Opus wedges from Callaway.
Yeah.
And I put a tour grind on my lob wedge, and that's probably my favorite club right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think this is the last question from me. I don't know what else Kyle has in his head, but you've done, you just listed off a ton of jobs you've done in the photography space. What has been your favorite job that you've been contracted for? And if you don't say the Myrtle Beach Classic, you can just like get out of that door.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Thank you.
That's tough. I don't know that I could single one out.
Yeah.
One that's like probably the most memorable for me was very early on in my career, and it was very early on in his career. One of my friends was very close with Mac Miller, and I had the ability to like meet him and shoot a couple of his concerts. And that is one. I have like one shot I shot of him where he's on stage like staring directly at me like through the lens, and like to this day it still kind of gives me chills.
Dude, that's
Probably
awesome.
one of my favorite gigs I've had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I loved Mac Miller because he was big right when I was in high school. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to school outside of Pittsburgh, so he was massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Massive.
knew the deal.
Oh yeah. Were you shooting for him in LA? Was he in LA?
I actually shot that concert at Central Connecticut.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was it early in his career or later in his career?
It was right around, I want to say right when he came out with like Frick Park Market.
So like the Blue Slide album.
Yeah, Blue Slide album, and right before Macadelic.
That time when he was coming on the scene and Wiz Khalifa was coming on the scene, because they kind of were married together for a little bit.
Everybody thought Pittsburgh was the coolest place in the world,
trust
man.
Me, trust me. Yes, I heard Black and Yellow way more than anybody ever cared to hear. And Yellow.
Still do.
Yeah. If you go to Pittsburgh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite outside of like the first time I got to shoot a few of the bigger poker pros.
That's sick. Yeah. That's not what I like. I didn't know what to expect, and you could have given me 4,000 guesses, and I wouldn't have come close to that.
Yeah, I did a lot of work in music early on in my career with smaller artists, a lot in the rap industry.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kyle, throw it back to you. You got anything else?
No, because we defunct the myth that you gambled and took all of the PGA Tour players' money.
Again, this is just something that you made up in your head, my guy.
I was really hoping that was.
I'm also not dumb enough to gamble against them. I've gambled with them on my team.
Yeah, dude. Like
it would have made for a good story.
That'd be like me and Drew going to George and Wesley and being like, "Hey, however much money you want to play for, we'll play for you.
Listen,
we're gonna."
If the strokes are right, I'm in.
Well,
it's got to be a fair game, though.
I think that's a conversation for Wesley and George. I don't think they would give us strokes, man.
Did you actually, as a gambling man, or man, maybe not so? I don't want to classify you as that, but
just
someone that
bombs.
As someone that made money in the gambling industry, is taking photos of people. David was telling me a story, fascinating story about back in the day. There used to be $1 million skins game that was played in Myrtle Beach, right?
Yeah, I can't say where. Don't say where.
Yeah, crazy back in the day, like all these illegal.
I'll tell you that
things.
story offline.
That's fine. Yeah, I've seen some. I don't play particularly big, but I've played with some of the biggest gamblers out there in Vegas, and the action is still very much alive.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the amount of money that was being thrown around on the courses in Vegas.
One of the coolest courses in Vegas, and it's also a really fun course to play, is Las Vegas Country Club. Old school track, you could walk it. Every hole has like a plaque about something historic. It's like where Dean Martin and all them used to play back in the day. And on the 18th hole, it's now the Westgate. It used to be the Hilton. And there was a poker player named Amarillo Slim back in the day, and he had a prop bet. He had bet another poker player and a PGA Tour player at that time that they couldn't hit. It was like a driver to the top of the Westgate, this is a full-size hotel. Like, literally, it is impossible. But somehow he got action on it for like $100,000, and they went there as like a whole thing. And one of the players, I could be botching this story completely, but I don't think I am. The player hit the ball as good as he could. It made it about halfway up the building, and he dropped the bag of cash on the tee and said, "I can't do any better than that." And the guy won all the money.
God, that's awesome.
It's also, if you watch the movie Casino, when the feds land the plane on the golf course, that's Las Vegas Country Club. And they have like a little plane in one of the ponds reflecting that from the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a really cool, like, historic property.
That's cool.
I like that story. I think that's a great way to end.
Where can everybody find you, follow you?
I am on social media at Drew_Amato.
The social
media. I
medias.
think everywhere. Yeah. That's my social media.
Cool. Well, Kyle, anything else?
No, Drew, thanks for joining us, man. This
Absolutely,
was a blast.
anytime.
Loving the stories. You're welcome on the program anytime. But before we leave, I got to teach you something. There's something we do every episode to end an episode.
Aware of this?
It's quite simple. Okay. There's only one thing left to do. See ya.